So Jason informs me that today would be a good day to give you a quick tour of our living arrangements. So, this is the living room, where we play video games and watch a show about a narcissistic, sociopathic old lady who murders people and pins other people on the crimes. This is the dining room, where we occasionally eat, and I do hours of homework every night. This is the kitchen, where we make frozen pizzas and kimchi and all kinds of weird. This is the bathroom where we tase the candles. This is where the rats are today. And this is the office where all of my random accumulates. This is the bedroom. I sometimes sleep here. It's too cold. This is just a bathroom. It's not that interesting. So that was a tour of our house, our condo. I'm out of breath. Which is irrelevant because we're going to be moving in 17 hours. Thanks, Jason.
Welcome to our new house. So this is the entryway, the living room here, and we haven't had to do a lot of work to this, but when we walked in, there was a headboard here from their bed resting against the wall, and then all the parts on the floor, and the carpet was just disgusting. They took some of the window treatment, so there was nothing on this window here. Aside from that, we haven't had to do a ton to the living room yet, aside from eventually repainting. But if you'll follow me this way, the dining room. This is another room where we didn't have to do a lot of work. Looks pretty good on its own, needs, a fresh coat of paint at some point. A window pane replaced on the patio door. But other than that, it looks pretty good. Over here we have the kitchen, and we discovered after we moved in that there's not quite as much cupboard space as we had at the condo, so we eventually need to add an island, and we'd like a hanging pot rack with a light. When we first moved in, they had turned off the power for the first couple of days, so the fridge was completely full of food. The freezer was completely full of food. Rotting ground beef, rotting salmon. We spent forever emptying out the refrigerator. All of the cupboards were full of stuff, which we had to empty out, from food to just random tools and supplies. The sink was full of dishes. It was disgusting. And then also because they had emptied out the refrigerator, or rather turned off the power, all of the water from the ice maker leaked out onto the floor. There were bags of garbage everywhere because the rolling garbage bin in the garage was full of rotting garbage. So it was just a disgusting mess. Turns out the refrigerator didn't work, so we had to replace that. That finally came yesterday, so we had a lot of quick meals for our first couple weeks. The garbage disposal didn't work. We've had to put a lot of work into the house coming into it. But let's move on upstairs. So first up, Rich, day one, practically replaced out the thermostat with the Nest like we had before. We had to keep the Nest at the condo, the old one, because it was a selling feature. And then he also put in a Nest smoke alarm. This here is the upstairs bathroom. We really haven't had to put a lot of work into this. Looks pretty nice as it was. Kind of interesting. I like the big soaker tub, but this was completely reconfigured from the way it was before. The shower and tub were originally over here. The toilet was over here, so they reworked everything. For some reason, took out the fan up here, so we have to put up a fan for moisture. Follow me this way. This is the least interesting of the bedrooms. This is going to eventually be our guest bedroom. Not much in here right now, just some boxes of junk that we still have to unbox. This is our hide everything away closet. We've got all our board games in here as well. So not a lot to see to start, just stuff we have to figure out where to put. One of the first things Rich did was pull out the lighting fixture from in here, and replace it with a fun retro Edison lighting fixture. But one thing to note here is that all of the lighting fixtures had plastic medallions under them because I don't think these rooms originally had lighting fixtures, so there's big holes in the ceiling. And so when Rich went to rip off this medallion, it was glued to the ceiling and it came off with part of the drywall, so that was fun. So now what you see here, we're going to put a guest bed in. We're going to put some exercise equipment. If you follow me to the right, this room here is my office. So in here we've got my computer. We've got some of my Frank Lloyd Wright books, some fun Lego items, Calvin and Hobbes, and then Rich's 3D printer over here. The room still needs a little bit of work. One of the highlight features is this Art Deco lighting fixture, which I had in the office at the condo. But if you'll notice up here, we left one of the old medallions, the cheap plastic medallions that was there, but Rich bought some Krylon paint and sprayed it, and I think it looks really nice. Eventually, I'd like to paint this the same color that I had in the office at the condo. Last up, upstairs. If you follow me here. So this is the master bedroom, and over here we have our resident Mika. And she's like, "Why are you bothering me right now? Leave me alone." So there you go. So not much to say about this room. Eventually I'd like to replace out the lighting fixture in here as well. It's just a cheap standard fan. One of the nice things about this house is it does have its original oak hardwood floors. They're not in the best of shape, but they still look pretty nice. And then out there, if you look, underneath this ratty old carpet is also hardwood, so we're going to rip that out next year. So why don't we take a trip down the stairs? On the way, I'm going to show this to you, an old school laundry chute, which is above the closet in the downstairs bathroom now, so there's nothing down there, just a big landing. And I think their kid threw some stuff down there, so probably have to seal that off. Switch that does nothing, I'm guessing that's a plug outlet. So this is kind of one of the highlight rooms of the house, and it was a selling feature for Rich. This is the study, as it were. I call it a library, but apparently it has to be a study because it's a multi-purpose room. So Rich has his record player here and all of his records. I'm going to refinish that cabinet to match the record player. Got the rats over here, but eventually I'd like to put in a wet bar for when we have company over. And right now we have these impromptu shelves with all of Rich's books. But eventually Rich would like to install some fun bookshelves in here. When we first moved in, we ripped out the lighting fixtures that were down here. There was just a fan here and an ugly fixture over here, so we put in some nice LED lighting fixtures. The other thing to note about this room is the owners before the last one, and the old owners were only here for a year and a half because they were getting divorced. They had put in drywall over the fireplace. And there were a couple of lighting fixtures here as well. And when they ripped out the drywall, they put the lighting fixtures on the floor over here in a big bundle. So there was a bunch of live wiring sitting on the floor, exposed for their kid, and the cat's not very smart. So Rich had to reset that back to its original state. Over here is the downstairs bathroom. The only shower in the house is down here, so eventually upstairs I'd like to reconfigure that bathroom to have a freestanding shower. We didn't have to do a whole lot to this room. Originally though, they had a door over the shower and they ripped it out and left this wood trim as is. So we'd like to, make that a little bit nicer. Sorry, I just needed to sit for a minute. I think this here, by the way, is where that laundry chute goes to.
Are you going to talk about the fan?
Oh yeah. And also this fan is noisy as hell, so we're going to have our friend rip that out and put in a new fan, and then, as I mentioned upstairs, we're going to have a fan in that bathroom as well, so it'll be a lot quieter. And then lastly inside is the laundry room / mudroom. So this is probably the room that I've had to do the most amount of work in. So to start, there was a problem with the furnace, which we already had to have fixed. And when the old owner had bought this place, the water tank was leaking all over the floor. So as you can see here, this floor needs to be replaced. We'll probably put in some nice subway tiles. But as a result, we got a new water tank out of it, but he also left the old one for us, so we still have to throw that out of the garbage. It has an older washer and dryer. We'd eventually like to replace those and put in an electric dryer. Over here they had a makeshift desk, which was kind of gross, so I ripped that out, and that's the cat's litter bin area. And speaking of litter bins, we have this big closet here where we store some of our cleaning supplies. This thing was nasty, so they kept their litter bins in here, and the floor was covered in it was absolutely disgusting. So I spent 2.5 hours on my knees cleaning it up. There's no baseboard along the walls in here, and I don't know what was up with their cats. Like, they were being spiteful, and they just like kept knocking their under there. So I had to dig it out by hand. So I spent, all told, probably 5-6 hours cleaning this out. Cleanest room in the house now. And then lastly, we're going to head into the garage and then outside. So if you want to follow me, we'll head on outside. So this here is the garage. And one of the first things Rich did was to rip out the old garage door opener and put in a new Wi-Fi enabled one. And that was quite a huge project because all of the equipment that needed to be there wasn't there. Eventually we're going to be able to put my car in here to charge as well, but Rich's car isn't here charging right now. We've got to put a 240 line in here. And then if you look off to here, they put in fake dummy walls all along the perimeter, so we're going to rip those out to open up the garage a little bit more. Eventually we've got to update the electrical system in here because all of the wiring is kind of crappy. This is piggybacked off of here. These plug outlets here are off of this light switch on the wall. So if you look over here, if you turn off this light switch, it also shuts off the garage door. So we need a little bit of work there. And then Rich is putting up some of his toolboxes and equipment all around the perimeter of the garage. Needs a little bit of work. So if you follow me here, we'll go outside. Okay, so as we go into the backyard here, this area needed a lot of work. This here was a sandbox that was full of sand and water. One of the first things Rich did was to buy an electric lawnmower, an electric leaf blower, an electric, what else?
Weed whacker.
An electric weed whacker, and start cleaning up along here. So we got to, clean up some of these weeds all along here. Rich discovered that this is milkweed and it attracts butterflies, so we're probably going to transplant it somewhere else in the backyard to attract butterflies. Over here, there's already a fireplace, but we want to rip that out and put in a gas fireplace so we can sit outside and enjoy that. There's a giant playscape they left behind, a giant kitchenette, so we had to spend a couple weeks cleaning up the backyard to make it look a lot better. Back here, this is kind of nice. This gate goes to a bike path across the street so that we can, go out on walks and enjoy bike rides. And then over here was a pond. We might eventually restore that and put a pond back in here. But as you can see, there's a lot of weeds, a lot of growth. It creates privacy, but it needs a lot of work to look a little bit better. Right here, there's a nice big shed for some of Rich's power tools. Got our bikes in here, Rich's lawnmower, weed whacker and such. And, there's a lot of room for storage. And then in the corner here is a lot of junk that they left behind. Old computer parts, a computer case. There are computer parts everywhere in that house, I forgot to mention. And then a baby carrier, so if you need one, we've got one for you. And then over here, this deck comes off of the dining room. They didn't leave it in very good shape. So we're eventually going to rip out this deck and put in stamped concrete, and then you know, have a nicer seating area. And then Rich would like to put in a garden off in the corner so he can grow some vegetables.
Not off in the corner. I want to start in the corner and have it sweep out this way.
I see. Well, he explained it better, but it'll look nice once it's done.
I'll draw you a map.
Okay. And then we're just going to take a quick loop around front. There was that stray cat again.
Kitty!
And then lastly here, they put in brick pavers, which are starting to sink, so we have to have a little bit of work done on the yard. That brings us back inside and to the end of the tour. So I think what Rich is trying to say is that we are both thoroughly exhausted after weeks and weeks of moving and prepping our condo to sell and cleaning up. You know, there's things I didn't mention, like the fact that the old owner left dirty laundry in the washing machine and things like that. But now that the house is cleaned up and we're moved in, it's starting to feel like home, and I think we're going to create lots of great lasting memories here.
And the upside down pentagram.
Oh yeah, there was an upside down pentagram on the living room wall. That's a little bit scary. And change everywhere. Lives change everywhere under the baseboards.
And sage.
And sage. Just weird things everywhere. So
Furthermore, hair ties in the windowsill in the shower and you never moved them away.
no, I did. I threw them out. Didn't I? I don't know.
No.
Anyway, I think we've blathered on long enough. Rich has a ton of homework to do and some sleep to catch up on. So we're going to let you go. And please make sure you like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. And we'll see you again soon with another episode. Bye.
That's all you know.
This is only a test. The alarm will sound. The alarm is loud. The test starts in 10 seconds.
What do you do?
8,
Just leave?
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Testing smoke.